Hello, One Piece enthusiasts. I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about One Piece chapter 1062. So, after a week long break, we got the chapter, and it's more content than I thought we would get. Before we move on, make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. Really appreciate it, helps the algorithm a lot. Let's move on. So, I want to talk about the cover story first before we move on to the main story because it got really interesting. I wanted a third party to enter Whole Cake Island, the whole drama cover story, for a while now. Since this is definitely not going to be the case, uh, but something like this, where Cacao Island is frozen, the only person capable of doing this in Whole Cake Island as a whole, no pun intended, but only person who's capable of doing this in the One Piece world is Aokiji. Unless Oda introduces some other character or some other means, it is definitely gonna. I want it to be Aokiji. I do not care what anyone else thinks. If it's Aokiji, that would make things a lot more interesting. There could be a lot more plot lines to be explored, especially with Aokiji being a part of Blackbeard, maybe even a part of Swords, and things could get a little iffy and jiffy in the cover stories. I always like twists in cover stories, although it never honestly happened aside from Bartolomeo basically burning down Shanks' flag. I want something like that so that we could add a little bit of spice aside from the main story to basically fasten up the pace. I wouldn't be shocked if Oda does it, and I would really love it if he does. Moving on to the main story, or Egghead Island, Straw Hats finally meet Vegapunk, and obviously, as expected, this is not Vegapunk's original body, because Vegapunk is supposed to be an old man, and this is Vegapunk's another sort of artificial body. Yeah, this is artificial. I mean, so we got to know that Vegapunk has 6 bodies, and that has 6 different personalities and 6 different tasks. And for a scientist to create 6 other parts of himself to increase productivity or maybe improve performance or agileness, because Vegapunk is old, you don't expect him to do everything. So creating sort of robots to basically take over your actions and whatever you're doing rather than relying on other people makes a lot more sense. And this is Vegapunk's second body, Punk 02, called uh, the Lilith. And the main body is called Stella. Apparently, there are 6 bodies with 6 names. I cannot be bothered to go over them. You guys can go check it out in the chapter, or whatever chapter notes. Maybe it's somewhere there in the internet. But Vegapunk has 6 bodies with 6 different personalities, and we're gonna see all the 6 personalities in Egghead Island, which is mind-boggling. Uh, for an island controlled by the world government, I didn't expect to see a lot of people, but this is 6 different people entirely. I am so damn excited. Moving on to whatever we have going on with the Straw Hats. Obviously, Nami won't be doing anything. Sanji's busy, too busy looking at uh, the Vegapunk, the Vegapunk girl, whatever you want to call it, Lilith, and everyone else. I mean, Usopp, Frankie, they're interested in the whatever mechanics that Vegapunk has. They created the sea monsters made of robots. Only 2 people seeming to be on guard is Zorro and Robin. So, and we finally get Stella, the main body of Dr. Vegapunk, which is so called the logical part of Vegapunk, that says that the Straw Hats are on guard, even though they might be foolish, which they are. Some people are still on guard and can easily take them on. He's not wrong though. The most surprising part out of everything, 2 surprising parts. One is expected, another isn't. One being uh, Vegapunk is interested in the Straw Hats. Considering how we've been speculating that Vegapunk has connections with the revolutionaries that make him a little bit like, iffy on whose side he's on, and now we see that Vegapunk has an interest in the Straw Hats, I think this is going to go a long way. And the other most surprising thing is that Zorro wanted to meet Vegapunk. Zorro, out of everyone else. I mean, we know Frankie wanted to do it because Frankie's role model is Vegapunk. But for Zorro to say that I wanted to meet you is sort of scary. There's something he wants from her, or him, or whatever. Him, I'd say him. Maybe the translation is a little off because I'm reading the scans. Maybe if after we get the official translation, we could speculate a little bit. We'd have a better understanding of what he meant by that. But it's definitely interesting that Zorro has an interest in Vegapunk, aside from Vegapunk being the scientist. Or maybe there's some sort of thing that Zorro knows about Vegapunk that we don't. It's gonna be hella interesting. We move on to Bonnie and Kuma, and finally the revelation is here. Kuma is Bonnie's father, and Bonnie has some interrogation to do with Dr. Vegapunk. Obviously, not only us as fan base we question Vegapunk's authority or sort of allegiance. Even Bonnie herself has no idea of what the hell is going on. With Kuma and Dr. Vegapunk basically modifying Kuma in the way he did, and making him a slave for the Celestial Dragons. Everything is a little bit off, and from what it seems as though Bonnie knows Vegapunk personally, and it's like she knows that Kuma has a connection with the revolutionaries. Speaking of revolutionaries, Bonnie also came in contact with Sabo in Reverie, and she knows that Luffy is somehow related to Sabo. Dude, she knows a lot more than what we expected. My theory about how the Straw Hats are gonna get information about the Reverie from Bonnie is coming to fruition, and boy, this is heating up to be a very spicy arc. It might be short, but it might be like Zoe, it might be like Reverie, might like post Reverie. It's gonna be great. This is gonna be great. And we finally get to see the dreamland of Frankies, the dreamland of mecha fans from every single part of the world rejoice. This is basically like way high-tech technological stuff, and what we see thus far are like holograms. I don't know why you'd create holograms for any reason, but Vegapunk has holographic infrastructure in Egghead. I mean, like what? And we're talking back. We're going back to like Luffy, Jinbei, and Chopper meeting up with Bonnie and everything. They sympathize with Bonnie obviously because Kuma, but Luffy doesn't care. Luffy cares about the food. Luffy's always interested in mechs and food, and apparently they got mechs and food. Chopper obviously more interested in the mechs than the food. Luffy mostly looking for food, and also it's very interesting to see, this is a completely different perspective from what we've seen thus far in the One Piece world, with high-tech technologies and such an artificial world, and this is way too abnormal for Luffy to come across. And we finally see another body of Vegapunk. And this is as big as Kaido, as Chopper mentions. And they come across two of them. The giant basically punches Luffy and sends Luffy flying, which is comedy effect. Not saying Luffy was serious. Luffy wasn't serious. If he was, he wouldn't have taken the hit. So we see different sorts of interventions and whatnot made by Dr. Vegapunk. And although all of the stuff over here are holographic, there are ways to basically which Vegapunk said that he has some sort of a glove that makes him able to touch light. Kizaru, you're in big trouble. And everything we've seen thus far is blowing my mind, more world building, and we have no idea what these personalities have in store for us and their goals. This is really gonna be one hell of a ride. And we finally move on to the most interesting part of the chapter. I will have further speculation for everything in my analysis video for the next week. Bonnie, it seems as though she doesn't seem to understand the Vegapunk stuff. the 6 bodies and whatnot. So it seems as though this is very, very new for her. She's been here as a kid, which basically means it could be any time, considering she can control her age. It could mean a very long time ago, could even mean 5 years ago, but this is new for her. This is new for her, and she thinks it's a lie, but I don't. Uh, everything's like going meh meh. I don't know what to say about this. Uh, One thing's for sure, this is very new, and we're about to see some very interesting creations. As for the end of the chapter, we cut back to a part of the new world with CP0. I didn't expect a chapter with CP0 this early, and especially with Rob Lucci and Kaku. Stelly is whatever. I never cared enough about Stelly to be head over heels for her, but to see Rob Lucci and Kaku again, and we get more CP0 action immediately after Wano. I'm liking this, and it seems that everything is pointing towards Egghead Island, uh, because CP0 are planning an assassination plot for Dr. Vegapunk because of reasons. As to why it's gonna happen, and Rob Lucci sort of speculates that it could be related to the Lucia incident. Again, we have no idea what it is, but things are heating up. Things are going in every direction. Things are heating up, and it's going in very different directions. But one thing's for sure, stuff is going to go down in Egghead Island very soon, sooner than later. I'm gonna post a speculation video on what actually is going on with Imsama, Lucia, and Dr. Vegapunk, but that's for a future video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and peace.